they know what kind of work that I'm already getting for that client. So I'll put them with the client that they're already doing the bulk of the work with. And then I'll start basically, I'll get on a Skype call with them, just like I'm on a phone with you. And I'll start telling them exactly how to do this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, this is what you go and, these are the kind of outsources I use for this. This is the kind of stuff I do with this, blah, blah, blah. Now, what's the downside, quote unquote, downside to this? Eventually, that project manager is going to know exactly how much you're making from that client. Right? Is that, anybody else think that's a problem? Anybody got any ideas on how to make lemonade from lemons from that? Someone, how would it be a good thing if the project manager knows how much you're making from that client? How can you make that a good thing? Okay, I'll tell you. Greg says bonus. Close. Yes, you definitely want to buy. There you go, right there. Gail says if they are part of a payout for better performance. So you can put them on a performance initiative. You can give them a flat rate just for basically getting the job done. They do a little bit better job, you start bonusing them and stuff. And then you pull them aside and say, look, you know exactly what the gazinas and gozadas are, right? You know what I'm paying outsourcers. You know what I'm getting paid by the clients. So let's do this on a 50-50 split. You handle that client until, time ends. You get 50% of whatever profit we pull in, right? So now you're not even paying him a salary anymore. He's purely on commission. Now, this will happen after about 6-7 months, right? This is not going to happen right away. This will happen about 6-7 months. But once it happens, you've got someone that's familiar as hell with the client. The client knows them. They're familiar with as hell with the outsourcers. They know exactly what to do day in and day out. They know how to get the shit done. I don't care if the guy works 1 hour a month and goes fishing for the rest of the month, as long as he's pulling in more money from that same client. And you educate them the same way I'm educating you on how to offer more services. So how's that? Is that cool or what? Does that make sense? Anybody got any questions on that? Because you always want every predicament to be a win-win-win. You never want to make more money by pulling the wool over the eyes of your outsourcers, or taking a dump on your project manager in some way. You always want them to want to do more for you and everything, and help them build your business. I know it sounds kumbaya and peace and love and happiness and stuff like that, but this shit works, man, because you'll have people actively building your business for you, and it really works. Treat your good people like gold, Richard said. Exactly. The more project managers makes, the more you make. Exactly. And guess what? You don't have to do shit, right? Excuse my language, but you don't have to do anything anymore. After you get that guy in that position, you don't have to do anything. And plus, if you've got your sales staff on hand, you really don't have to do anything. Be CEO. I can't even spell it, CEO. Shane says, what are your thoughts about giving your project manager the ability to pay outsourcers like Fiverr gigs? What's the best way to set that up? PayPal actually has, you can make different logins for your PayPal account where they have limited access to stuff. Like, you can have them be able to pay invoices, but they can't like add a bank account and take all your money out, right? So let's see. Tony says, got to find another client now to bring up your income again. Project manager will appreciate you being a rainmaker now. Exactly. Or, you can have your sales staff bringing in new clients and everything. And once your project manager gets rolling on, that new project manager you just put on 2 or 3 clients, he can handle 4 or 5, and he wants to make more money, you give him another one, and another one. You know what I mean? Now, let's take a step back. We still have no project managers. We still have no sales staff. We're still doing all this stuff on our own. We're our own rainmaker. We're our own project manager. Um, and we're going out and getting outsourcers, right? Excuse me for just a second. So I had to turn on a fan because it's getting warm in here. Had the heat on. Okay. So if you can do something yourself and you want it replicated, right? You want, basically a lot of times with Filipinos, they're going to do exactly what you say and zero else. And again, it's not that they're trying to be mean. It's not they're trying to pull anything on you. They don't want to do anything other than exactly what you say. So the best way that I've found is to make a screencast and then throw it in your knowledge base. So let's get an example. I want my overnight, I want my Filipino outsourcer to install WordPress, install a theme, and install some plugins and stuff, right? Now, usually I'll already have like a duplicator, a WordPress duplicator or something like that they can just use. But if they've never installed WordPress before, and this is somebody that I think is going to work out and I want them to be familiar with WordPress or whatever, I will take a screencast of exactly how to install WordPress, exactly what plugins I want for that kind of site, and exactly what kind of settings I want. And I'll throw that in a knowledge base that they have access to, so they can go and they can see me talking to them and showing it to them exactly. And if that person doesn't work out, well, hell, go and the next person, you have that video that you can always train new people on, right? And anything else that you've got coming up, you know what I mean, that you know how to do personally, right? And you want to, you always going to want somebody to be able to do that. Just bust out Screencast-O-Matic or Camtasia or whatever and build your knowledge base, right? Anytime you catch yourself doing something like, shit, I don't need to be doing this, somebody else needs to be doing this. And it's pretty simple. Bust out a screencast the next time you do it, hook up your microphone and kind of talk their way through it. Does that make sense? What if you can't do it, but want it done right every time? Go over to somewhere that you know someone that has it, like it's going to maybe a little bit more of an expensive outsourcer, maybe at Reddit, right? Get one of them to do the exact thing you want done and tell them you want a screencast taken of it and pay them an extra $50 for making that screencast for you and throw it in your knowledge base, right? Boom. There you go. Now, that guy that, it took like a couple of $100 to do that one time, now you can have done for $10 for the rest of your life because, you've already had it done. Who likes that idea? Getting a lot of ones for sure's, I do's. Awesome. All right. So moving along, we've talked about outsourcing and stuff. I can talk about outsourcing for days on ends. I've looked at tons of outsourcing courses, and I'm talking about courses that cost up to $2,000, right? Somebody wanted us to promote an outsourcing course last year that cost $2,000. I looked at it and I was like, shit, I can tell everything that is in this course within an hour to people, and basically they just bloated it up. Outsourcing is all about patience and common sense. It really, really, really is. It's all about it. You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to be especially good with people, just a little bit patient. Never get mad or never get mad to them, right? You can walk away from the computer and like throw a chair or something like that. And every once in a while, there's absolutely nothing I can tell you right now that's going to keep you from getting a bad seat every once in a while. Absolutely nothing. You're just going to go through it. No matter what anybody tells you, you're always going to have a bad seat every once in a while. But that's where growing them incrementally is going to save your butt. Because I would rather I would rather lose $100 on a shitty outsourcer now than to lose, $10,000 on a shitty outsourcer, you know, because I didn't take the steps to wean them up. Matter of fact, over the weekend, I had a young guy. I was a WordPress developer. If any of you are my friend on Facebook, you would have seen me kind of laughing about it, because this guy he literally talked himself out of tens of thousands of dollars over the next couple of months, because he's a WordPress developer, right? He does themes and plugins and stuff, and he seemed like a bright enough kid, and he showed me his portfolio. But hell, at the end of the day, I don't know if that's his portfolio that he's showing me, right? There's no way I can know. So what did I do? I started him out small. I was like, hey man, if you got some time today, can you install a theme? Can you install WordPress on this domain? Upload this theme, make these settings, and do a couple of things for me. I'll pay you $100. And he goes, LOL, you've been in this business for this long and you can't even install WordPress yourself? Wow, dude, just wow. And I mean, that is exactly what he said to me. I was like, you know what, man? Peace and hair grease. I'll see you later. I can't. I'm like, if you're not even smart enough to, like, you say you need money and stuff, and you can use $100 for like 30 minutes worth of work, then why would you even open your mouth? Who cares what I do or don't know? And by the way, I've been working with that platform since you were in like middle school, so like I know what I'm talking about. I just want to see if you knew what you were talking about. And you're gonna have these people. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I might even give that guy a second chance, because how much of an asshole do you think he felt after I said peace? See you later. He might not have even meant it in a malice way. I'm trying to be a more forgiving person, and I always need WordPress developers, so I might give him another chance, but I will take it even slower the next time, right? So, all right. So let's talk about what automated services you should be outsourcing. Remember, because what we're talking about is our package, right? The package we have on our website that shows, I do this for, $600 a month. You can have this package for $1,000 a month, and then you can have this package for $2,500 a month that includes one personalized service. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit more in just a minute. Exactly. Doris is the pricing table. So automated services that I like, and remember, you're not going to offer every single one of these. Okay. You can even, if you find, remember that guy we were looking at back at Wicked Fire? I don't know where he is now. There it is. If you find somebody like this that can do this stuff and is dependable, I have no idea if this guy is or not, and there's no reviews yet, so I don't know. I just see a bunch of graphs. But if you can find a guy like this that is dependable and everything, you can basically just become a reseller for this guy, because that small biz, that one for $367, I'll sell that for $1,000 or more all day long, right? Do you think you can? I can. I know I can. I'll make me a cool $633 all day long per month just reselling that. Now, I got to make sure this guy is not going to disappear on me, because if I get 50 clients all with this package, you know what I mean? This guy ups and disappears, I'm screwed. So I got to, I would do the same thing with this guy, give him a little bit at a time and up. But you can see how you can make or break. I can have this guy working solely for me, right? And even this is when I was talking about with forum people that are doing these things on forum. I will tell them after a while, if I'm stepping up and this guy's reliable, after a couple of months, I know he's reliable, I got tons of work for him, I'll be like, look, pull that thread down, dude. You're going to make so much more with me. Let me open up the faucet for you. You know what I mean? You're making this much from me a week now. Like, imagine what we can do together. And I'll have this guy working directly for me, but I don't have to pay him like he's an employee. I only pay him when I need him, right? Or pay him, just like the clients pay me. So I can have, all these line items and stuff. I can just offer that on my website. And by the way, I would never show that guy my website, right? because I don't want him getting any funky ideas about cutting me out, or especially he would never know my clients, right? Unless he absolutely had to, because sometimes they will get funky and they will go straight to your client, be like, look, man, I'm doing this stuff for, X amount of money, and you can save some money and everything. And then you got to fire that guy for one. Then you got to go do some damage control with your client and be like, look, this is what you're also getting from me. You're also getting personalized attention and yada, 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 and this and that. So, but these are the things you got to have to watch out for. Now, I don't mean to scare you, right? Because I mean, the times it happens is like, once every blue moon. But when it does happen, just a little bit of PR, make it better. But let's go through these real quick. Automated services include mobile websites, right? Because you can have somebody that's just sitting there right now making mobile websites for you. There's even software that does it, right? Standard website review and optimization, yes, but there's an asterisk, because that you can go down a rabbit hole with website optimization, right? But if you find a guy that does optimization, and there's not a whole lot of people that are initially offering like website reviews or whatever, but there's actually companies out there that you plug their website into their software, the company's software, it'll spit back it'll generate a report. Well, the H1s could be better, the H2s could be better, the H3, you know what I mean? The link building profile can be better and stuff like that. So if you want to do something like that, take it to your client. And there's even ones that'll have branded on top of it. I can't think of it off the top of my head, with your name branded on top of it, your company name, and show that to your client and be like, this is what you need right here. This is why your website sucks. And so they automatically know what they need. So if you can do that hands off, then yes, it is. That's why the asterisk is there. Website hosting, you should be offering hosting to every single one of your clients. Who's offering hosting right now? I think I asked this last week. Who's offering hosting right now? Danette is. Awesome, Danette. Shane is. If you said no, you know who you are. Go get a damn HostGator reseller package to start you off. That's all you really need. I mean, what I do is I'll charge anywhere from, it's pennies for what it is, but I'll charge anywhere from $20 up to $100 a month for hosting. Is that highway robbery? No, because they're getting personalized service and yada, 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 and they're getting all this. Remember, I want to be more expensive because I'm better. The way that I run my business is better. If a client has a problem other than the day-to-day stuff, they can talk to me, and I will figure it out. I'm better. That's exactly why you are going to charge more, because you're better than everybody else that's out there. Because everybody else is there. I mean, seriously, look at the industry. I don't have to tell you. You already know there's a lot of crappy people out there. Be better and you can charge more, and people will love paying you for it. So that's why I charge a little bit more for hosting. Split testing lead generation pages. Yes, if you can do it, if you can find somebody that does that for you. SEO services, definitely. Video creation and marketing, Facebook fan page creation, website content, opt-in form installation, all these things. Yes, yes, yes. All of these things that you can easily find somebody that does it day in, day out for you, right? There's a few more: monthly reporting, monitoring, and analytics. That is a Google Analytics printout, right? Send it to them in the mail so they know, and then send it to them in their email. You always want to remind your clients that you're there. You always want to remind your clients that you're hustling. Every time I talk to my clients on like a video chat or a Google Hangout, I'm not like Ryan. I don't have like the Dayglow green sneakers or whatever, but I usually wear exactly what I'm wearing today, which is like a button-up polo shirt, like long sleeve shirt. I always have the damn sleeves rolled up because I'm working hard for you, right? Does that make sense? And I literally do this. I do it every single day when I know I'm talking to a client. I got the sleeves rolled up because I've been working hard for you. All right. Is that funny? Okay, ghost blogging, guest blogging, content distribution. I'm going to go down to logo, graphics, and design work. Just like that guy that said on Reddit that was like, hey, I'll do 3 mock-ups for you. You show your, you can go show your, if you can find a guy like that, that's always way to do some logo work. And I mean, let's be honest, the guys that do logo work, I don't want to like blanket statement them, but this is a 19, 20-year-old kid that wants to sit on a computer, blast rap music, smoke pot, and do logos, right? But he's damn good at logos. So like I will pay for, I will spend money with this guy all day long if he's good at doing logos. I don't give a crap what he does in his personal life. But if you can find a guy like that and he's happy just doing logos for you, cranking them out, definitely. But I don't want you doing logos. Twitter posting and maintenance, yes, if you can find somebody that's really good. I have a nightmare story for you, especially about Twitter. I had a guy that told me that he was a social media expert, which I think is another way of saying I'm a bullshitter that doesn't want to work for a living, right? Um, that's what a social media expert is to me. I don't mean to, if you call yourself a social media expert, I don't mean any offense, but that's what it is to me. But anyway, this guy said he was a social media expert or whatever, and he got angry with someone on Twitter on the client's account, right? Luckily, somebody else informed me about it. I changed the password real quick, deleted it all, made, did some damage control and out, but it took the rest of my afternoon. Again, I don't mean to tell you horror stories and stuff, but make sure this guy knows what he's doing, or this lady. And I don't mean to be sexist or anything, but guys, most of us suck at social media. We think we're good at it, but there's something about ladies, they know social media much better than we do. We all know it. If you're a dude, just go ahead and admit it. There's a couple of exceptions, but most of us kind of suck at social media compared to ladies. I don't know. I think that ladies have a gift with words to make stuff appear better and more concise, just like Doris. So, Doris, I bet you kick butt at social media. Facebook posting, same thing. Reputation management, everything goes back to a reputation management. Me and Ryan were talking just last night about this. Everything we do, everything can fall under reputation management. Everything, SEO, ghost blogging, guest blogging, everything. It's all about the face that you're putting forth in the company, right? Anybody got any questions so far? But these are the services you should be offering, not every one of them, right? Because, hold on, we already covered this stuff about the project manager. Here we go. Here's the, I think my slides are a little out of whack. There we go. No, they're not. I'm just going too fast. Remember, this tier over here, the one on the left, the far left, like we don't even need that one, right? I usually only do 3 tiers. I'll start with this one, right? And that'll be my cheapest one. That'll be my tier 1. And I'll have 5 or 6 of those services, which will cost me about, $100 to $200 or something like that a month to get fulfilled from my various outsourcers. And I'll charge $700 a month for that, right? But I always want everybody to go to that best value. And I like $1,000. You can make it $1,500, whatever. We've talked about this ad nauseum, I feel like, but it's very important because you push everybody to that best value. Because look at it, they're getting 5 or 6 here, services, line items, and these are, well, I'll go back to that. They're getting 5 or 6, right, services for $700 a month. For just 300 more, they can get 8, 10, or 12 here. And these aren't hard line, these 5 or 6. I just want you to know, I'm basically using that as an example to show the discrepancy between the two. You want to make this look like such, Doris, he's a good friend of mine, actually. I was talking to him late last night, too. We were talking about some strategy stuff. Great guy. Doris said something about Dr. Ben. She was talking about how he says that the $9.97 price is being golden because a business can't train someone to do that job for that money. So we're actually, Doris, speaking of, he's doing that event with us in Fort Lauderdale. That's us, Dr. Ben, Don Wilson, Tim Castleman. Yeah, exactly. Okay, let me get back to this. I don't want to get sidetracked. So remember, you can have as many or as much or as little line items as you want. But look, remember when Ryan was talking about when we were looking at this guy's line items earlier? Like that is every single tiny little thing right there, right? So he stacked the box. It looks like you're getting all kinds of stuff, and you really are, right? So when I say 5 or 6, that's 5 or 6 broad topics, right? Because like content distribution would or content would come under one of those topics, but under content you would have like article writing, guest blog, stuff like that. So you want to list everything that you want, but I'm talking about 5 or 6 broad topics. But you want to make sure that this looks like the better value than this. You want to make sure tier 2 looks like the better value than tier 1 because they get a whole bunch more stuff for just a little bit more money, right? If I'm going to get this, if I'm going to get the tier 1, I might as well get the tier 2 because it's just a little bit more. And, I'm going to make, I get all that extra stuff. Now, this is what's very important. You don't want people to get your tier 3 yet. Why is that? Who can answer that for me? Why don't you want people to go straight for the tier 3? Who? There you go. Art said it. You got to get involved. You got to personally do something. There you go. Candelaria. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. Tony said it. Shane says it. You can't automate all of that, right? You got to get involved. That's why the tier 3 will have the exact same number of automated services as tier 2 and 2 or 3, but you add one personalized service. Well, if I can help it, I would rather not be involved and make a little bit less money, especially at the initial time, because I can always upsell them if I want some extra money. You know what I mean? Being like, hey, why don't we try this Facebook ads thing? I can do some Facebook ads for you and stuff like that, or I can do some SEO, or some extra stuff for you. I can run you a pay-per-click campaign, or if they're specifically asking for it, be like, yeah, that's going to be an extra $1,500 a month just on base, and then I want a commission on the recurring whatever I get. Whatever extra I sell that, you can trace back to me. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But I always want, and Mark said something really interesting too. This is another reason I always push them there. They don't know, love, and trust you yet. So I would rather get them in the door right now at the $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month or whatever. Because just like Doris said earlier, they can't train somebody to do all this shit and work for $1,000 a month. There's no damn way. But you can do it for them, or your outsourcers, your project manager and all that stuff, they can do that stuff for them, right? And then you're just collecting $1,000 month after month. So I know that I want my business to gross $50,000 a month. I have to do the very, very, very difficult, and by very difficult, I mean super simple job of going out for the next month or two and getting 50 people to go to this best value package. Boom, I have $50,000 gross a month, which, if you're watching your pennies correctly, could mean, $30,000 plus net profit for you. Am I making it sound too easy, or am I making it sound what it really is realistic? Because it is realistic. Jeff said it is that easy. Doris says realistic. It is. I don't like to wave these kind of numbers at you. You know what I mean? Be like, oh, look at this, what you can get. That's why I break it down and stuff. To I give you the good with the bad kind of thing. I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying, I want to make sure the bad with the good. I want to make sure that outsourcing is not always a cakewalk through, a fairy tale field with rainbows and kitten farts all the time. There's going to be some problem areas in there, but you're going to get through it, right? So, all right, let's go through this a little bit more. Let's talk about your project manager. Now, I didn't realize I was going to get into the project manager side of it before I got to this slide. When I made this slide, where to find, what to pay, how to manage the managers. We already talked about this stuff. Managing managers, once you find somebody that you put in that project manager position, they are pretty much managing themselves. You're not going to put someone there that hasn't demonstrated to you for months that they're able to manage themselves, right? So does anybody have any questions in the project manager? I think Shane in particular had a light bulb go off, and that right there, that's going to make my that made my day for the rest of the day right there. That that I know he's going to go out and do this stuff. Let's see. Can I speak? All right, John wants to know, can I speak on outsourcing with Endless Rise? I've used Endless Rise, and I've used other ways. My preference, if I have the time to do it, and we're actually going to do like, I don't know, I want to do some kind of training for everybody in general on Endless Rise, not just in this course, but for everybody, and give you the good with the bad. Basically, they can be cheaper, but on the good side of it, 99% of the time they come through, right? Because basically what they're doing is outsourcing, right? You're going to a bunch of people that, you're using Endless Rise itself as your project manager. So is it expensive? Yeah, it's a little more expensive. Is it basically, but the bad thing is there's no person. You can't go to the outsourcer themselves and be like, yo, what the hell? You got to go through Endless Rise or something. Greg says, have you used 123 employee? I have not. So I can't speak to it. But if you're another person on the call and you're looking at something, another option, apparently there's a service called 123 employee. Maybe worth checking out as well. It's all about options. There's no right or wrong way. Well, there's a couple of wrong ways. Let's talk about your big tier services. Just now, I said we're not going to take people directly into this. Now, if somebody really wants one of your big tier services, you're not going to say no. I mean, if they want to, look, I want this right now, I'm going to another person, blah, 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 blah. I got to have that tier 3, right? You're not going to say no unless you just really don't want to work with that person. Yeah, Dora says some people are going to take that 3rd tier just for you offering it because they have to have the best, right? Which is always good. Let's talk about these services. Running Facebook ads, pay-per-click, content network, retargeting ads, YouTube ads, media buys, direct mail campaigns, print publication campaigns, big money there, and personal consulting, personal business consulting. Anything that takes your time, because you are not going to outsource a Facebook ad campaign to someone else. Like, when there's a steady flow of money coming from your client and you're in charge of that, you're not going to outsource that unless like you have someone on your team, that's fully vetted and stuff. And, that takes a while to train that person. John says Endless Rise does pay-per-click. I personally would never use Endless Rise for pay-per-click. Think about it like this. If somebody is good enough at pay-per-click to, run campaigns for companies, why the hell are they working for Endless Rise? There you go. Jeff said they wouldn't be there. Why the hell would they be doing it, right? I mean, you got to be stuck in one hell of an employee mindset, right? Okay, so these are the ones that I would at least take your monitoring. Even if you outsource it to someone on your team that's very close to you that knows what doing, you're still going to want to look into this shit. Because once a pay-per-click campaign starts rolling out, $100,000 a month, $100,000 every 2 weeks, $100,000 a week, that deserves your attention. That deserves you looking at a spreadsheet, every couple of days, right? That deserves your personal attention. Same thing with a direct mail campaign. If you've done direct mail campaign of any kind of scale, that can be expensive very quick, just for postage alone. It deserves you knowing what's going on. So that's your personal attention, right? Now, whoa, I'm giving you bonuses yet. We ain't even done. Look at this. Look at this. I swear, I'd fire myself today. It's a Monday. Let's go. All the way down. See, if Ryan was doing this, he would just somehow blame that on me. He'd be like, Robert's not here to do technical stuff. Y'all know he would too. All right, who do you provide them for? Clients you like. It is simple as that. If I don't like a client, but I know that I can, have them as a client and have them on a recurring thing, and it's completely outsourceable, and I've got somebody else taking care of it, sure, they can be a client. They ain't getting no personal services. Sorry, we're all booked up for that. Mr. Smith, we thank you for your business and everything. I am personally booked up. I cannot help you. I thank you for using our other services and stuff. Jeff says it's not worth working with anybody you don't like. I can't do it. I don't have the patience for it. I was talking to a buddy of mine just earlier today at lunch, and she was telling me about like the ins and outs of like waiting tables and stuff. And I was like, there's no way that I could do that because I just don't have the personality for it. Like, I have to know my limits. Like, I would never be able to work in like the service industry. So knock on wood, I don't have to, right? I literally just knocked on wood there. And so I can't put up with people that I don't like, and it's just not worth it for you. You didn't get into this business to work with people you don't like, and it isn't fun for you. I like working with people that are, that are really invested in their business, love their business, really do a very good job for their customers. But the kind of person that you like to work with, and that's what now, if you're just starting out and you feel that you can put up with a little bit of bitching, for the trade-off for a little more cash, that's your decision to make, right? But eventually you're going to come to that time where you say, my time is worth more to me than working for some asshole that, anytime you put off making a phone call to that client, you kind of look at the phone and you're like, I don't feel like calling that guy right now. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Anytime you put that, the doubt enters your mind where you really don't want to talk to that guy or really don't want to talk to that lady, that's probably a client that you shouldn't be working personally with. Jeff's yelling at me right now, by the way. He's like, no, it's never a good time. Even starting out, no, never work with somebody you don't want to. So, I mean, this is where I'm going to give you, I guess I'm giving you enough room to hang yourself with, right? Because it's only going to take that one client, right? It's only going to take that one client that you cannot stand. And then you'll fire them and you'll be like, yep, Jeff and Robert were right? And Ryan would tell you straight up. Ryan will just sit there and cross his arms and be like, I ain't working with nobody I don't like, right? Ryan turns out people he does like. So, hell, I do too. Okay, when do you provide them? I like to have them in as on my best value package for 2 or 3 months. Sometimes you can call them after about like a month or so. I'm like, hey, I also do Facebook ads, but that's a client I know I want to work with. They got deep pockets and it's a cool dude, right? I know I want to work with that guy. So I'll call him after 30 days. Hey, let's do this campaign overview. Let's get this rolling. Do you know that I also do this, and this? And this is exactly how this is going to help your business. A direct mail campaign in your immediate 50-mile radius area, or this zip code, and this zip code would bring you probably an ROI of X amount, right? That guy's going to be like, oh, shit, that's pretty good, right? When do you provide them? You can, if you're not that hot to try it on somebody, wait about 2 months. Because, I mean, after 2 months, they know that you're doing good stuff. You're sending them the analytics and everything. You're sending them all that stuff. They know that what they're doing is working. It's worth their time, right? And that's where a lot of people fail in this business. They just don't keep up with their client. They don't share enough information with them. You ever see somebody that does that? Are you guys talking to your clients enough? I know Doris is. I know Danette is. They were telling me. I know Jeff is. Jeff's all over this. How much should you charge? How much should you charge? So let's see here. Let's go back up to these services. How much would you charge for a Facebook ad campaign, right? Let's say that, they've never done Facebook ads. You know that they've got pockets, right? Which means they've got a little bit of money, right? You know that they've been, doing some TV ads and TV spots, or some radio spots, and you know that ain't working worth a damn for them. You can do much better on a pay-per-click or a content network and a retargeting in a Facebook, especially geolocated and stuff. So what would you charge for that? Jeff says more than you think you should, definitely. Matter of fact, what I'm going to tell you is on the low end. I would charge them like, you know, anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000 just to start, right? And say, I'm going to get a percentage of whatever I sell. Now, this is going to be different for every company, the percentage that you ask for, because like it's going to be a little bit different if you have like, if your client is say an e-commerce site, right? I know we're talking about offline clients a lot, but so every once in a while you can pick up like an e-commerce client or an e-commerce site, and they don't have an in-house pay-per-click guy for God knows what reason, right? Because they just suck at life, I guess. So they come to you and you're doing pay-per-click. Well, I want a percentage of everything that I sell for you. So Jeff says he bases his fee on 20% of what they are going to make. That's a pretty good figure if you really wanted to kind of dial it in there, or if you really want to kind of generalize it. I like to dial it in on exact performance. I like to because once I hit something with a good budget, I know I'm going to knock it out of the park. It might take me a month or two testing, but I think what Jeff's saying might be a good fit for you if you're a little bit newer. Just say, hey, I think let's do 20%. But always get something. Get like a $3,000, $2,000 or something per month just to be doing it, right? So you got the incentive in there, and you've got the flat fee as well. Does that make sense? Okay. Anybody got any questions so far? And while you guys are typing in questions, next week is our bonus training, and we are deliberately being a little bit secretive about this because you guys are the only one that's ever gotten this training, right? Because Ryan opened his mouth on that on the first training we did, where you guys all opted to come into the high paying clients thing, and he's like, let's just everybody, come on in, we'll give you a fourth week and everything. Y'all know I'm kind of a butthole. I was like, what are you doing? Like, I didn't even want this, right? But since we're doing it, we've come up with something cool for you guys. Thank you, Doris. Doris said, I can't imagine not have gotten this training. It's the best. That's awesome. I love comments like that. So what we're going to talk about is even more client acquisition methods to round out your client grabbing arsenal. It's a very salesman-like way of me saying it, but you can never have too many client acquisition methods, right? You can never have too many methods that will get new business in the door for you. Jeff and saw my clients make about 50 grand a month off a pay-per-click, and I get 10 grand a month. I think that is pretty fair. You're damn right. That's pretty fair. That's pretty good. And and Jeff knows as well as I do that at first people will balk a little bit at that sometimes. They'll be like, what? That's, but then they see what you can do for them, and then they'll start throwing money. Remember, you always want to use the analogy. Look, I am a machine. You put in $100, I'm going to give you $150 back. Knowing that, how many $100 bills are you going to throw at me? Boom. I mean, what? Nobody sane is going to stop giving you $100 bills after that, especially after you've proven yourself. Okay, we've been on the call for about an hour and 46 minutes. I hope Ryan's doing okay without me and not dropping too many F-bombs on this guy's podcast, right? I'm all looking at my wrist as if I'm wearing a watch. So do you guys got any questions so far? I want to make sure. I know I've been talking your ears off this time around, and I apologize again that Ryan wasn't here because he always enters some insights and stuff. But outsourcing is kind of my baby, and I made a lot of promises the first week. I think a lot of people were asking about outsourcing stuff, and I was like, yes, I'm going to include that, and yes, I'm going to include that. And it wasn't until a couple of days ago when I was telling Ryan about Reddit, and he was like, that's how you get all those good people that you trust so much, because he knows I don't trust people, right? He knows. He's like, you don't trust anybody, but why are you got this guy working for you that you trust with all this stuff? How did you find that guy? I'm like, oh well, this is exactly what I did right here. So I like Reddit. Don't just jump in and if you already have a Reddit account, don't use your existing Reddit account. If you've been LOLing at cat pictures on that one, make a professional one. Don't use your business name either, though, right? Because you don't want people like doing, competitive intelligence research on you or something. Make a general name, and make that account. You can have as many accounts as you want on Reddit, I think. Don't make a ton of them. Just use one for your hiring. Make it a general blase name, and use it for nothing else. Don't LOL at cat pictures on there. And let's see. I don't know. It's pretty easy. Jump in. You will find that
Skiggle wiggle.
There he is. You will find that when you have a hiring thread, when you're this guy, I think earlier I thought that he was for hire, but he's hiring a speechwriter. If you have a hiring thread, you're going to get a ton of people looking. Then if you start answering for hire threads, sometimes you've got you might have people that are going with the best deal. So if you have your own thread, you kind of have the upper hand, right? You know what I mean? You have people applying to you. Also, and we were kind of smacking our foreheads against this weekend. Watch out for people that are sending all of their information to you. Be prepared for that. I always have a Gmail account that matches, say if I was making a Reddit thread or something like that, and I'll have Reddit jobs at gmail.com or something. It's probably taken by me. And then, as a Gmail, and I'll be like, look, go to this Gmail account. People are going to send you their phone number, their resume, their full names, their social security numbers, their date of birth. I mean, it's just insane what they send you, and you're a stranger on the internet, right? So, I don't know, I guess with great power comes great responsibility. Make sure you keep their information safe or whatever. Sometimes you have to protect people from themselves, right? So,
can you make me an organizer?
Always wanting something. Always wanting something.
Always got my hand out.
We were talking shit about you while you were gone too.
Look, when I was on that call, this guy, my ears were burning, so I knew it. You didn't have to tell me.
Oh yeah, we were talking mad shit. Okay. Actually, I was about to wrap up. I'm doing.
That's fine.
I'm doing Q&A now. I think I've talked their ear off because they're very quiet now, and I always know when I've covered a point or either beat a dead horse to death because they'll stop asking questions.
We can
be like, dude,
it's even though we can't hear you, we hear you yawning. We know it.
We know, guys. All right, guys, then we're gonna cut it off. I'm gonna have the replay up in the members areas, in about an hour or stuff. Gail,
it's gonna be
thank
longer
you.
than that. Don't over.
Wait, I said a couple hours, right? Or did I say an hour?
You said an hour.
No. It's gonna be a couple hours.
Well, you and I are gonna talk for 20 minutes anyway, so it'll be a few hours.
Yeah, it's gonna be a few hours. We gotta go over some stuff and everything.
Before we wrap it up, Robert, can I ask? Does everybody see why I was so excited? I'm glad I got to come back in at the tail end of this. Does everybody see why I was like, why didn't you? What is this? Why didn't you? Hell yeah. Okay, cool. Doris said yes. That's why I was like, dude, you got to share this stuff. Like, what are you?
Yeah, I
Perfect.
never even thought to. So
I
I'm
know.
glad.
And
I'm
that's the
glad
beautiful
he.
thing about having other people, partners or just other people looking at your business from a different angle. So awesome, Rod, Eric, freaking awesome, 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 awesome. Cool. All right. All right. Well, I came back just in time then. I just want to make sure that everybody was excited as I was.
Cool, man. All right, guys. I'll see you in the Facebook group. It's been a little dead. I'm gonna start posting in there and holding you guys accountable because we're done with the training. Remember, show up next week. We're gonna have the bonus training, and I'll see you guys there. I'm gonna close it down.
All right. Later, guys.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call